Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 115th session of the online Optom Learning Series, OOLS. Let me introduce to all of you our speaker for today. So today we have Optom Zeba Naz. She has a bachelor's degree in optometry from the Jamia Hamdan University. She has also done her internship from the Venua Institute and Research Center. And currently she's working, her primary interest is in vision therapy. So she's working as a vision therapy consultant at the CureSee company. And she also is an active member of NORA. And today Zeba is going to talk to us about the use of AI, which is artificial intelligence, in terms of vision therapy. She'll be taking us through a case, and then she'll try to explain us how artificial intelligence can help us doing vision therapy forward. So welcome Zeba onto our platform. Thank you so much, and let me just leave the screen time to you.
Thank you, Fakhruddin sir, for your kind words. And good evening, everyone. So today I'll be presenting my views on artificial intelligence in vision therapy. So first, we'll be going about a case and how we have treated that patient, an adult, using CureSee vision therapy software that is artificial intelligence enabled. And then we'll be discussing how it can actually improve the accuracy of the treatment. So first, the financial disclosures. I have no financial interest in this, although I work at CureSee, but I'll just be presenting my case and my experience. I'd like to acknowledge and thank team of Cure for Eyes, team CureSee, and the patient for the consent. So talking about the patient details, the patient was a 32-year-old female who was residing in Haryana, Gurugram. So she was basically a housewife, but her chief complaint. So she first presented to us on 11th of November 2020. She is a housewife and she just started to learn driving. Now, because she was facing problems while driving, so that was the reason she presented to us on 11th of November. So her chief complaint was blurring of vision in the left eye. She had diplopia. She had diplopia earlier as well, but it has started giving her problems more since past 1 year. She had eye strain and had problem while driving. So we took the case history. The general history was normal. The family history was also normal. There was no head or ocular injury, no history of past illness. Birth history was normal, no history of surgeries or lasers. Nutritional status was normal. However, the patient had gone for patching at the age of 6 for approximately 2 years, where she had patched her better eye, that is right eye, for approximately 3 to 4 hours every day. But the improvement was not much. That was for 2 lines, and that was not very significant for her, and she was not satisfied with that. So we did the refraction. The unaided visual acuity in the right eye was 6.6 and N6 for near. In the left eye, the unaided refraction visual acuity was 6/36 and N12 for near at 33 centimeter under normal room illumination. So the dry objective refraction in the right eye was minus 0.50 diopter spherical, and in the left eye, it was minus 4.50 diopter spherical. The cycloplegic refraction was 0.50 diopter spherical in the right eye, and in the left eye, it was minus 4.75 diopter spherical. The subjective refraction also confirmed the readings, and the best corrected visual acuity in the right eye was 6.6 and N6, and in the left eye, it was 6.24 and N8. So we did the external examination. The face was symmetrical on both sides. External face was normal. Head posture was normal. Ocular positions were normal. Ocular motility was full, free, and painless in all the direction of gaze. We did her binocular evaluation. Stereopsis was found to be 400 seconds of arc. Worth-4 dot test also confirmed diplopia, as she has seen 5 dots. Cover test was ortho for both near and distance. NPC was found to be 14, 10, and 12 with RAF ruler. So we proceeded with the slit lamp examination. The ocular adnexa was flat. Conjunctiva was normal. Sclera was normal. Cornea was clear. Anterior chamber was normal in content and depth. Iris was normal in color and pattern. And pupil was also normal, as no RAPD was shown. When we did her retina evaluation, media was clear, macula was normal, and the fundus was also within the normal limits. Coming on to the diagnosis. So in the right eye, the patient had myopia, and in the left eye, it was anisometropic amblyopia. So for management, we got her fresh glasses made as per the fresh prescription. We started the patient on active vision therapy software, that is CureSee, and we planned her review after 1 month. So her second visit was on 13th of December 2020. Glasses were, the refraction was done and the aided visual acuity in the left eye had improved to 6/12 and N6 for near. The dry objective refraction was minus 4.50 diopter spherical, and the cycloplegic refraction was minus 4.75 diopter spherical, and subjective refraction was minus 4.50 diopter spherical. So the best corrected visual acuity with that was 6/12 and N6 for near. So the refraction was the same, but the vision has improved to 6/12. So the glasses were not changed and the active vision therapy was continued, and the review was again planned after 1 month. On her third visit, that was on 11th January 2021, we did her refraction. The visual acuity improved to 6/9. Dry objective refraction changed from minus 4.50 to minus 3 diopter spherical. Cycloplegic refraction was minus 3.50 diopter spherical, and subjective refraction was minus 3 diopter spherical. And the best corrected visual acuity with the subjective refraction was 6/6 part and N6 for near. So the glasses were changed, active vision therapy was again continued, and review was planned after 1 month. So on fourth visit, the prescription of the glasses was same. It was minus 3, but diopter spherical, but the vision improved to 6/6 in the left eye. So glasses were continued, and active vision therapy, we continued the vision therapy, but with reduced time duration, and we planned the review after 1 month. We did the binocular evaluation. Stereopsis improved to 60 seconds of arc. Worthford dot test was within the normal limits. Cover test was ortho for both near and distance. NPC was found to be 8, 8, and 10 with RAF ruler, and EOM was full, free, and painless. So why are we actually emphasizing on perceptual learning program instead of patching? So whenever we say patching, we are just patching the better eye and forcing the amblyopic eye to work. But that is not improving the binocularity of the patient. And the compliance with patching is less, as it is very hectic for the patient when it's either it's adult or if it's a child. What is the science behind the vision therapy software? I think before that, I would also like to tell you that we have continued vision therapy for complete 6 months for the patient. And in those 6 months, the patient had to do those exercises for 1 hour every day. So even although when the vision was attained to 6/6, we had reduced the time duration and tapered down from 50 minutes to 40, then 30. So what is the science behind this perceptual learning program or active vision therapy software, that is CureSee? It uses random dot stereogram in therapeutic modules. It uses dichoptic principle, that is the use of 2 colors, red and blue. It uses crowding phenomena, where you just have to select a particular target or search a particular target out of many stimuli present on the screen. Then there is anti-suppression technology. So you make the eyes work simultaneously in the binocular field. So there is combination of both monocular and binocular exercises. So we have not abandoned patching completely, but when the patient is doing patching during the use of these exercises, so they are patching it for only 6 months, and every day they'll be patching it for 30 minutes. So the overall duration of the treatment and the time duration of patching is significantly reduced as compared to only occlusion therapy. And there is individualized and customized threshold. So we customize the contrast threshold for every patient. Now, this is actually pretty common in all the vision therapy softwares, right? So what is new? Artificial intelligence is what I'm going to be talking about. And we have also introduced Gaber patches. It's a non-invasive patient-specific perceptual learning program that is based on visual stimulus and facilitates neural connection at the cortical level. So this actually improves the contrast sensitivity pretty faster. And then there is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is actually going to help the practitioners more, I would say, because it is actually reducing the time that a practitioner would spend on will spend on every patient, as it automatically selects the best suited exercise for the patient and changes the levels of all the exercises automatically. So how it helps, how active vision therapy helps. It improves the binocularity of the patient. It improves the eye-hand coordination of the patient. It improves vision. It improves contrast sensitivity. It improves depth perception. It breaks suppression, and it relieves in eye strain and headache. And it also helps in convergence and divergence disorders. So when we say that there are so many modules and it is actually helping in so many symptoms, why so? So as you can see, this is how the CureSee patient panel looks like. And there are several games. Now, each game is focusing on at least one or two visual function or visual skill. For example, if you see Search Quest, this is actually helping in the crowding phenomena, because here the patient will be getting many stimuli, and out of them, they'll be asked to select only one stimuli. Right? In smooth and rapid movement, it will be helping in saccades and pursuits. So similarly, every exercise is actually focusing on some visual abilities of the patient. And you can also see that on one side of the exercise, there are glasses, and on the other side of the exercise, there is a smiley with one eye patched. So every exercise is now available in two modes. That is the binocular mode with the anaglyphs, the red and blue filtered glasses, and with a patching mode. So they're in the binocular exercises, they'll be wearing their glasses and the red and blue filtered glasses, that is anaglyph, over them and doing the exercise. And in the patching mode, they'll be patching the better eye and doing the exercise with the amblyopic eye. Right? So you don't have to select the monocular and binocular exercise separately, because it's already there in the panel, and every exercise will run for about 5 minutes. So they'll be getting 6 exercises every day, so that comes to around 60 minutes per day. Right? So I'll just show you a quick demo on how the exercises looks like. So the patient will log in, and these are the games that they'll get to see. These are the glasses that the patient wears. So how have we inculcated AI in the software? The data scientists of CureSee team have utilized the data of 1,500 plus successfully treated patients earlier, and they have then created an algorithm that is used to now inculcated in the present software, so that automatically selects the exercise that is to be given to the patient. The exercise will keep changing based on the progress of the patient. Then the levels of the exercise are actually changed while the patient is doing the exercises. So they don't have to manually change the levels when they're performing good, because while they are doing the exercises, based on their responses, the levels are increased or decreased. Similarly, the speed of the targets will also keep increasing or decreasing while they are doing the exercises. So this is actually, the changes are happening while they are doing the exercises, thus resulting in improved accuracy. Right? So what will artificial intelligence do? So they give the best suited exercise to the patient, as I mentioned. They automatically increases or decreases the level. They automatically changes the size of the targets, and they automatically increases or decreases the speed. So earlier in previous softwares, what used to happen was that after every exercise, they were supposed to increase the levels based on their performance. Now, if we have someone who is not very good at technology or using computers and laptops, it will be quite a hassle for them to increase or decrease the levels, and they will probably forget it, because sometimes you have remote patients coming from rural areas and it's not very easy for them to come around very in a week or two. So they're generally coming every month for follow up, right? So for them it is very convenient because they'll have access to it even if they are doing it offline or online, right? The goal of this vision therapy is to have a happy patient. So if we all inculcate vision therapy in our practice, we'll be able to treat amblyopic patients at all ages. So this was a 32-year-old patient that I had treated. We have similarly have a 54-year-old patient as well. So if we can inculcate vision therapy in our practice, we'll have no age barrier for the treatment. The treatment time span of the treatment will be less, and the accuracy will be more. Thank you. It was a short presentation, but I hope it helps.
Okay, thank you, Zeba, for that wonderful talk. I think very important in terms of knowing how the artificial intelligence works, and I think you did cover it very in brief. I would say very well presented. So thank you so much. Before I move to the questions, I was just waiting for a moment to wish actually everyone. Wish everyone a a happy World Optometry Week. Actually, this is the World Optometry Week, and I think today is Saturday. So this is the last day for us to celebrate. And Zeba has done a wonderful talk presenting us on this, really important. And also to the Indian optometrists, we all know that the National Commission for Allied Health Science Professional Act was just passed just a day after the World Optometry Day. So the optometry profession would now be kind of recognized. So it's a good news as well, right?
Yes,
so,
congratulations to everyone for that. And
yes.
happy World Optometry Day, although we are at the end of the week, but it was a great success for Indian optometrists.
I think you also made a very important point when you were explaining the difference between doing patching and active vision therapy, where you mentioned that vision is something which probably improves with patching, but binocular vision is something which we need to also look at. So thank you so much for reinforcing that as well.
Thank you, sir.
So let's just look at some questions, Zeba, and somebody wants to know that the red blue glasses which is used for the vision therapy, does it comes with the CureC software or we have to separately get them? And
it actually comes with the CureC software.
Okay.
Yeah, so when the patient is added by the practitioner, they'll be writing the address. So along with that, it is actually suitable for the kids. It's customizable also. So if they want, it can also be customized, and it is provided along with the software.
Okay, so that's again a great thing to know, because you don't sometimes we as clinical or whether we are in optical practice, the importance of the filter which has to be used with the software makes a lot of difference. So thanks for letting us know that it comes with the software. So I think that's really important. And let's look at some question. What kind of conditions are suitable using the CureC? Is it only amblyopia, or other binocular vision anomalies can also be treated?
So the main aim of CureC vision therapy is to actually treat amblyopia. So we focus more on amblyopia, but yes, there are exercises for convergence and divergence disorders as well. So if there is any kind of amblyopia, be it strabismic, if it's not manifest, and be it visual deprivation or refractive, every kind of amblyopia is treated unless there is anything else. If you have excluded every other possibility of lesser vision. So it is suitable for all the kinds of amblyopia. And yes, it does have convergence exercises for convergence and divergence disorders.
Okay, thank you. I mean, this is again apart from the topic. We are only focusing on artificial intelligence, but
Yeah.
this gives me an opportunity to let everyone know that we had Optom Puneet, who did a session with us where he went through the whole software and what CureC is all about. So the session is recorded and it's available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to learn more about how CureC works and what is CureC software all about, please do watch that channel. And you can actually go to their website, right, Zeba, and register
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah, if you would like to highlight that on the website aspect, Zeba.
So if you want to register, you can just go to www.curesi.com, and there you can register yourself in the doctor panel. So once you have registered, someone from Curesi will contact you on their site and plan a demo. So they'll just want to know if you have any previous experience using a vision therapy software or no, or you are just a beginner who want to start. Based on that, demos are planned, so you get a brief idea about how it works and how to give it to the patients.
Okay, thank you, Zeba. That's again helpful. And again, just reinforcing that not either of us, Zeba or Online Optom Learning Series, we don't have any financial interest in this. It's just that we have something which is available for all clinicians, and we are just sharing. Zeba is just sharing, although she's working with CureC, she's just sharing her experience on how it works, and you can feel free to connect with CureC straight away.
Yeah.
Okay, a bit of more technical question, but let's just take it this thing. Does it use AI in lifetime? Does it require internet connection, or it can be done without it?
So yes, it uses AI in the lifetime.
Okay.
And initially, for approximately 1 week, the patient needs internet connection, so the AI can monitor and capture the report of the patient. Then, after a week, they have the option to download it and keep it for offline mode. So, even if there is no internet connection, the patient will still be having the access to the exercises, and AI will still be working for them.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's again important for clinical point of view, that when we are suggesting this to our patients, we must make them aware, right, that you might
Right.
need internet connection in the beginning, and then it probably is not that required, right?
Yes.
Okay, and does it work on a laptop or a desktop, or is there any specific specifications of the system they have to use?
So yes, it can only be. It is actually preferred to use a laptop or desktop because the size of phones and tablets are comparatively shorter. So the efficacy is comparatively low, and there is more of eye strain when using it on phones and laptops. So it actually works best on only laptops and desktops.
Great. Okay. And finally, we have some AI related question, I guess. So that's again, will the AI decide the vision therapy or the game specific for each conditions, or the practitioner has to actually decide? Any thoughts on this?
No, the practitioner will not have to decide it. The AI only decides the games. And the good thing is that while the AI is deciding the games, and meanwhile, every day the games are changing. So suppose if on one day the patient has got a six set of have got a set of six games, the other day, based on their progress, there'll be another set of six games. So based on the progress of each game, suppose if I am doing in game A, better in game A and not better in the game B. So the frequency of game B will increase and the frequency of game A will decrease. Because as I mentioned, every game is focusing on some visual ability. So
Yeah.
we try to improve the progress in each game so that all the visual skills are improved. So the patient practitioner will not have to choose the games for patient.
Okay, great. So that's the whole importance of AI, right? So that it
Right.
decides, and then it makes it more personalized for the patient, if I may put it in that sense as well. Okay.
Right.
Let's look at another question. Does it work for kids and patients who are unable to use technology? And any offline mode with objective testing which must be used so that AI will work better? Any thoughts on that?
Actually, it works for kids and patients who are unable to use technology as well, because it is not any rocket science. These are very basic games. So they'll just be pressing some keys or maybe using the mouse pad only. So there's nothing much they have to do. And moreover, when the patient first comes to us, when we give the software to them, we make sure that we explain all the games to the patient. So the instructions of each game will anyway be coming every time when the patient is using the software and doing the exercises. But we still, on our part, make sure that it is very easy and feasible for the patient to access it. And there are no diagnostic modules in QC software, because we prefer that if it's actually done offline, just like we do it, it's better. But AI, just you just have to write the basic details of the patient, and AI automatically makes sure that it gives the best exercises. So initially, when I would say that initially when we start the exercises, there are some random exercises coming in. So that monitor, that's the reason I said that for 1 week they have to do it online. So each exercise will be coming in, and based on the progress, it automatically decides which exercise is to be given at what time, or the schedule is planned by AI.
Okay. So optometrists, you are still required to do clinical examination. Don't think that AI is taking over you, because people have that misconception. AI is just choosing
No.
the test, but you need to decide which patient requires this particular therapy. So don't worry
Right.
on your
Because I think as an optometrist, it is very important for us to do the examination properly, and starting from the history taking to the end, it is our responsibility to make sure that we have done all the examinations correctly and we have made the right diagnosis, because patient will be spending 6 months of their time with us. So it is important to make sure that those 6 months are worth doing the exercise for them.
And you did mention that these values, what we get, for example, whatever evaluations we do, we need to input them, and that will help
Yeah.
the AI to choose the game. So your role is
Yeah.
still there. If you don't do a good clinical examination, the AI would not be helping as it's supposed to help the patient.
Yes. So once you have excluded that, yes, it's a pure sheer case of amblyopia, then just add the patient and let the AI work for you. But
Yes.
if it's not amblyopia, it's something else that has to be addressed first.
Great. So this is kind of a personal opinion question, if I may put it that way. Do you use patching still, or you have now moved to active amblyopia therapy, for
No.
example, the QRC?
So now I am not personally using patching, because in QC we already have a patching mode. So whenever we talk about patching these days, so when we talk about patching in urban patients as well, they are a bit skeptical about using patching, because they are more aware of how the child will feel or the psychological impact that it might have while they are going for outdoor activities. So they are bit skeptical about using patching these days as compared to giving them laptop for playing some video games, because that's how it is perceived for children. So, but it's actually a treatment for them. So it's more interactive, and every day the patient is getting different exercises both in patching and in binocular mode. So it is more like a competition for them.
Yeah, and I think these days kids need fun activities, right? So
Right.
these
Right.
games are actually, as you mentioned, they are not rocket science. They are like Pac-Man, something like that.
Yeah.
It's very easy
Right.
just to press the keys, and they can. So it keeps them engaging, and I think you reinitiated this point also, that the compliance will increase. So patching
Right.
compliance, we all know, is a question, but with games, I think it's possible that the compliance rate would be much more better, right?
Yes.
Right. And any experience in using CureC? I think you did mention this as well. You have a old patient also, but would you
Right.
like to add on
Yes.
something?
it improves the vision at the age of 45. We have actually improved vision for a patient who was aged 54. She was a female patient, and her vision actually improved from 3 by 60 to 6/9 in 3 months itself. So that was a surprise for us as well, that because it was my first case as a vision therapy practitioner. But yes, it improves vision at any age. So age is no barrier in vision therapy.
Great, very important point as well. And will the practitioner receive any update once the patient improvement has happened? So, as you are saying, the game changes. So, is there any function where we will be notified as practitioners?
So whenever you are giving the software to the patient, the reports of every day will be updated to the practitioner panel. So there are two different panels. There is a practitioner panel from which you will be adding your patient. Then there will be a patient panel which will be going to the patient, and they'll be doing the exercises on that. So once they do the exercises, the report of those exercises will be updated on your panel. So reports for a complete 6 months will be there for each day. So when you click on one day exercise, you will have the report of at what time the patient did the exercise, what was the score of the exercise, and how long for the did the patient do it for complete 60 minutes, or they only did it for 30 minutes. So you have all the reports. The overall progress will be there at the bottom. There will be progress of every day, and there will be time durations as well. So you'll have a complete report of that. But it is advised that you follow up the patient on a monthly basis once, so you know how much the vision has improved, because the idea is to improve vision and binocularity. So exercise reports, yes, you will be having it on the daily basis on your practitioner panel, but you will be asking the patient to come for monthly follow-up.
Okay, great. So that's again an important point. And how long do they have to do the exercise? You did mention 60 minutes. Is that standard for everyone?
Yes, it's actually standard, because those 60 minutes are divided into two parts. That is 30 minutes of binocular exercises and another 30 minutes of patching exercises. Now, it can be 30 minutes of patching or 25 minutes of patching, because there is one exercise, that is Gabor patches, which is now introduced, is to be done with normal glasses, and there will be no anaglyphs or patching. So that is to be done 5 minutes. So when that exercise is there, it is only for 55 minutes. Otherwise, it is for 60 minutes.
Okay, so we'll have to tell this to our patients that
initially, yes, you have to, but they'll automatically get the idea on looking at the dashboard. Yeah.
That's right. So I mean, I was just trying to say that when you are introducing this therapy, you'll have to tell the parents that 1 hour of the therapy is gonna be taking every day, right? So that probably you'll have to inculcate and brief the parents about in terms of
right.
Right?
Right.
And any clinical researches out there which has compared the effectiveness of QRC? Are there any papers out there? Any idea about this?
I think the paper will be out in a day or two. It will be out soon. But yeah, general researches about vision therapy software are there, and articles are there, and the research will be out soon. So
let's just wait for the paper to be out, and I think that would answer your question. But as Zeba mentioned, yes, there generally active vision therapy or computerized vision therapy is really now the need of the hour, and everybody is doing that. Whether you do it with QRC or there are tons of software outside, how QRC is different, we tried to put it across today by letting you know that it has the Gabor patches and you have the AI interface, and all that is that's the idea of the session for today, right? Great. So thank you so much, Zeba. And as Zeba mentioned, you can go to QRC and register your interest, and I think the people behind QRC would be very happy to answer your questions. So thank you so much, Zeba.
Thank you, sir.
Most welcome. But before we leave for today, just a small announcement that because of the World Optometry Week, and also OLS is now coming to the time where we will celebrate our anniversary, 1 year of continued education. So we are launching some Instagram, and it's also available on Facebook actually. So you can actually scan this QR code, and there are some exciting prizes to be given away. And you can scan the QR code. There are some cool filters. Show us your creativity, I would say. And we have special committee to look at who is the most creative of using those filters, and you will win some exciting prizes. Tag your friends. Anybody can participate. It's not only for optometrists, even though there are optometric instruments there, but creativity can be anything, right? So tag your friends, let them join. Before we leave, we do have a session tomorrow as well, a bit of early 10:30 a.m. Indian time in the morning, and 1 p.m. Afternoon, just about lunchtime in Malaysia. So I hope you can join tomorrow's session. Until then, take care, stay safe, and I will see everyone tomorrow again. Bye bye. Thank you, Zeba.
Thank you, sir.